So pupillage, as I've said, is a 12-month work and training placement. It's split into what's called 2 sixes. The first 6 months is usually spent sort of observing your pupil supervisors, going into court with them, helping them to prepare their cases. And the second 6 months, you're generally on your feet. Depends what area of law you go into. But generally, if you're in crime, family, employment, that kind of thing, you're on your feet, you're taking on your own cases, and you are working as a barrister in your own right. So a set of chambers might offer, say, 4 pupillages, but only take on 2 tenants at the end of it. So that means that during that year, they'll observe your work, they'll assess you, and then they will then decide at the end of that year whether they would like to keep you on as a tenant or whether they don't. So essentially, pupillage is a year-long interview. But as I say, the struggle doesn't end once you've got pupillage. You actually have to go and demonstrate that you're going to be a valuable member of chambers and persuade them to give you tenancy, maybe over somebody else. And so the way that interviews work, generally there'll be a few rounds. Usually there's only 2 rounds of interviews. First round they might have a legal problem, and then they'll shortlist and there'll be a second round. And that will probably be a longer interview with a few more members on your panel. But sometimes when you walk into a set of chambers, or especially for me, I always tried to become the person that I thought that they would want me to be. So I would sort of put on a front, sort of speak a little bit differently. I thought that I'd just talk about the law, I'd just talk about the industry, and that's it. But actually, the one massive piece of advice that I'd like you all to take away from this is that don't try to be anybody but yourself in a pupillage interview. You do not get a second chance to make a first impression. Obviously, I'm not saying, you know, be unprofessional. Be absolutely professional, be courteous, be polite, but just don't try and be someone that you're not. Because as I say, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression.